name's Mary Kobenschlag, and I am the founder and CEO of Discover Pathwaze. Discover Pathwaze is located outside of Boulder, Colorado, and we are here to support high schoolers and even college students on their path to choosing the right colleges and degrees that fit them, which lead to the right career. We believe strongly in looking at your gifts, talents, and strengths and making sure that it all aligns so that you have the best careers possible for you. All of this content, in addition to be located on Streamable U, will also be located on our website. So if you'll give us a couple days to put it up there, we would love to have you come visit our website. That is Discover Pathwaze, and you'll see it on my charts. And reach out to us if you have any questions about what you would like to see from us or need to know. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We are going to be presenting, we being me, letters of recommendation, and specifically letters for the colleges that you're planning on going to. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and pull up that content. So yeah, let's go ahead and get me over. So here you go. We're going to be talking about letters of recommendation for college application. So in the next 15 minutes or less, that's what I'm going to try to do, we're going to cover the definition of a letter of recommendation, why are recommendation letters important, how many should you ask for, in your letter of recommendation, what should stand out, who should you ask, where are you going to get this information, basically what do they need to create a good letter for you. We're going to talk a little bit about Common App and specifically something called FERPA, which you'll get familiarity with when you start filling out your application. And then lastly, how to follow up after you've received your letters of recommendation. So what is a letter of recommendation? Basically, it is a personal view of you. It's probably one of the best gifts somebody can give you because they're going to talk about all your strengths and the things that are positive about you to the admission reps for the colleges. And they're going to highlight things that are individual to them, but they want to make sure it matches what you need. They're going to talk about your academic qualifications, the skills you bring, some of your behavioral attributes that you bring with you just as a person, as well as your achievements that they've been able to see. So a tip, you want to make it easy on the person you've asked the letter for. And what I mean by that is if you can list some of the colleges you're applying to and possibly the major that you're considering, if you've considered it, that will make it a more impactful letter from your teacher or counselor or anyone else, right? Because they want to match it to suit you. I know in the past when people have asked me, I will specifically ask them, what is the nature of what you need? What are you looking for? And so if you have that information, that is really best. Something else you can talk to them about recounting for you is what you've learned in their class, if it's a teacher recommendation. Possibly areas where you've excelled in their class and you plan on using that content you've learned for a college degree or in a possible career going forward. Because they have a ton of students, you want to remind them about positive situations where you've impacted their classes. If you were on a sport or an athlete, what you contributed to that sport. And if you're asking a boss, what positive contributions or impact did you make at work? So, by the way, this is not going to be your last request. You're going to apply for internships, possibly grad school, employers. So you really want to know how to request a well-written recommendation letter. So why are recommendation letters important? They basically confirm your qualifications, your strengths to the admission reps. And the admissions rep gain insight from somebody who's actually observed you, either in their class or on the job or other places, possibly where you volunteered. So listen, they've already got this package from you. It's got your transcript, it's got an essay that's been well written that describes a little bit about who you are as a person. They've got your test scores, ACT, SAT, your subject test scores. They know a little bit about what you've been up to with your activities, but they really want to hear from your teachers, bosses, coaches, counselors. And really what they're looking for is they want to be able to see how you have performed for the teacher, for the school, because that is one of the best predictors of how you're going to perform for them when you're in college. So how many should you ask for? I'm on the minimum side. So the colleges are going to give you exactly what you need to apply to them, right? They're going to tell you the number of recommendation letters, and they're going to tell you the type that they need. So who do they need them from? So a few tips. You should probably create a spreadsheet. And this is probably the easiest way for you to keep track of all this. Because listen, if you're applying to 8 to 10 schools, even 3 or 4, this gets to be a cumbersome process. And last week I gave a Streamable U presentation on basically the application process and keeping yourself organized. And this is a great place to use one of those spreadsheets. So what you're going to do is you're going to list in a column all the schools. You're going to list the number of letters of recommendation you need, from who, a teacher or a counselor, did you request it, what was the date, did you receive it, and that will keep track of all of this. And the reason why is some schools ask for 1 or 2 teachers and a counselor. Some schools don't ask for any. Some schools ask for a combination of teacher or letters of recommendation. So you really just need to know what the schools are looking for. Some are a little bit more specific about what they're asking for too. When students ask us if they should send more letters, our response is no. These admissions reps are receiving a lot of content from a lot of students. And so unless there's something compelling that you need to tell them and submit yet another one, just go with the recommendation that the colleges give you. So what makes your recommendation letter stand out? So I'm not going to go through all of this, but basically it comes from somebody who's qualified to recommend you, a teacher, a coach, counselors. And again, they're going to be very specific. If they ask for a teacher, you give them a teacher. You don't give them a coach unless your coach is your teacher. These people should be able to easily explain who they are and how they know you. And they explain and really propel why their opinion matters of you. If at all possible, you should customize it to the major or degree or specific institution. So for instance, if you're applying to the School of Engineering, you would want to ask your science teacher, and we'll go through this in a little bit, or your math teacher, because you want to make that match, right? You want to show that you're a good fit. They also want to show that they have confidence that you're going to do well in college and succeed. So we also ask that the teachers provide examples and anecdotes. So not just adjectives, you know, Mary was conscientious and performed well and studious. They want to talk about stories. People love stories. You know, Mary sat in my class and she was very good with the other students, and she always delivered her materials on time, and they were high quality. It's that type of storytelling that your teachers actually do want to support, and it won't sound generic or cliche when they do it. So, who to ask for a letter of recommendation? Again, the colleges you're applying to are going to list who and how many they want. So you're going to ask those teachers that represent your academic areas that match the goals of the college. So for example, again, if you're applying to the engineering program, you're not going to want to probably ask your history teacher for a letter of recommendation. If you are applying specifically to that major, you're going to want to have probably a math or a science teacher give you the letter of recommendation. If you don't have that, then you go to the next best type of teacher. We do recommend that, let's say, if you are going into foreign language, obviously you get your foreign language teacher to write your letter of recommendation. But the most important thing is you want to ask people who you believe are going to have positive information about you. And so not all teachers are going to always see eye to eye with you. You do want to make sure that they will represent you well. And I'll tell you why that's really important when we get to FERPA. But we've had students ask, so if I'm a senior, should I go all the way back to my freshman year to find my best or favorite teacher? And we say, no, not really. You probably should go back a year to your junior year and find your strong teachers and ask them. Because one, you're still in their mind's eye. They remember you, they've had you, and they've probably also seen you progress up through their classes, and they know the type of student you've become and that you will probably be in the future. So you also want to ask someone who's going to respond in a timely manner. And frankly, this is part of the teacher's jobs, and so they're going to respond to you as long as you get your request in early enough. So speaking of that, getting your request in, we recommend you ask your teachers towards the end of your junior year. They may not want to write it for you at that point, but just getting in there, a bug in their ear, tells them that you're going to want it and that you're going to be working on your college application in the summer. And so it would be meaningful for you if they would consider writing one for you. And if you do need to wait till your senior year, which most do, then I would say early on in your senior year, especially if you have a popular teacher, get your request in. We've actually had several teachers tell us that they have to turn away kids when they've had too many requests. So don't make that a tough decision on your teacher. Get your requests in early. You definitely want it to be somebody that knows your skills, your experience in the class. And for those type of additional letters of recommendation, possibly a great boss you had in the past, a coach, a community leader, a pastor from a church, if you volunteer at a civic organization, and those are very meaningful. So let's talk about how you ask for the letter of recommendation. You always want to ask the person, you always want to ask first in person, and then you follow up with a note after they've said they will do it. And then you track that it's been done, and it's either through a system like Naviance or it's through some other system that you've been given as a student. And then finally, and probably most important, you want to show your gratitude with a note. I know this is old-fashioned, but preferably handwritten, because it does go a long way, because the teachers are going out of their way to write an exceptional letter for you. So let's talk about FERPA. FERPA is basically the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and that is basically you telling the school you will allow them to give your personal information as scholastic information from the school to the college. So the government really thinks a lot of your privacy, and so they want to make sure that you are aware they're going to release, they being the high school, all your information to the colleges you're applying to. So when you go into Common App, because Common App is one of the most common application systems out there, you are going to basically sign in several places. There's several check boxes, and there is an online signature that you even have to put in, basically saying you are waiving, so you're giving up your right to review your recommendation letters as they are being sent from your counselor or teacher to the colleges. And it is recommended that you waive your right, because what that does is it reassures the admission reps that your letters are candid, truthful, they weren't coerced to say something good about you. But the reality is if you get accepted to school or declined, you'll never see those letters of recommendation unless the teacher chooses to give them to you outside of the process, which frequently they do. If they're going to write all these wonderful things about you, they often want to share that with you. And I'm sure you will keep those as a keepsake because it's a one time in your life that you really see the way other people see you in a very positive way, and they want to help you get to where you need to be. So there is a great video that I've included the link from YouTube. It's only 2 minutes on how you go about checking those boxes in Common App for your FERPA. So you can refer to that. Lastly, if you are using Naviance and you've set it up correctly, and you'll know if you have it, you'll get an error, you're going to be requesting your letters in that. But you do want to follow up with your teachers and verify they've completed them. Thank them formally for their letter of recommendation with a note. Keep track of it in the spreadsheet you've created so you know you've gotten everything in, and then just be really proud of yourself because you've worked hard for those letters, and they are going to show the schools exactly the student that you want to show them you are. So I'm going to go ahead and end this, and I'm going to take questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the chat box. Do we have any questions? No questions. Okay. Well, if you think of any, head over to our website, discoverpathwaze.com, and we're always here to answer your questions. And I hope this was helpful on how to write a great letter of recommendation for your college admission. And good luck.